I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now, what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
Oh, give me fucking truth, baby! Come on! Let's go!
How have I been this successful in life?
Yet again, we question why, Lance. Yet again, we question why. We're back. Just the two of us, as you can see. Brad, Sean, little BS for you here on the MMA analysis tonight, this weekend. We are making all other MMA analysis co-hosts. We're putting them on notice. We'll get to that later in the podcast. Right, Sean?
Yeesh.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. They are not going to be happy with what we have to tell them after. Yeah, man, listening to that intro, remember when I and a bunch of other people just used to bet women's overs and just parlay them up and just cash?
Yep.
Can't really do that anymore.
I feel like they really lost a lot of value for a while. Like there was a bunch of them that were minus 600 and stuff like that, but
yeah,
they've come back down again. I feel like that's an angle.
I mean, Godinez and Calvillo is minus 350 for 2.5.
Yeah, that's a great price.
That's the thing. Like basically, you just got to add $1 to what you want to parlay it as, and just deal with it because it's still a good price, really. Yeah, those were good times.
Excellent times. And my contribution to the intro still holds true.
Mm-hmm.
Fatty's gonna fatty is still very real. I nod along to it every time I hear it. Like, yeah, that's true. That guy's smart.
Did you see what was announced for UFC Charlotte as the main event, Brad?
Oh, I remember seeing it, but then I instantly memory hold it. But it's a bad one.
It's the jail man getting his first main event shot against.
Oh, then I did not see that. I saw something else.
Yeah, it was announced either today or last couple days against. What's the one the heavyweight one punch guy, Rosenstrike.
Oh yes, that's cool.
that was supposed to be Johnny Walker versus Anthony Smith, and they're just like, nah, that's co-main. We got to get the big boys in there.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're finally trying to push the jail man or what the plan is there, but I mean, might as well get some eyes. Supposedly it's going to be on ABC, which is interesting.
Breakout fighter of the year, jail man. The whole year is coming together, except for I can't win a bet to save my life. But the rest of the year, Krylov's going to be champ. Jailman's breaking out. It's great times to be me. What else do we got going on? Because I know that Bellator had a thing and PFL started. I watched 5 minutes of those combined.
The highlight of my week last week was hanging out with our buddy Aaron.
Yes.
He was doing some third man in the booth for Unified MMA, which is kind of starting up again to put on some fights, and I got to hang out with John. Is it John Ramdeen?
Yep.
He was hanging out at the bar with us, so got to hear some interesting stories from just MMA from yesteryear, a long time ago. So that was a lot better than what PFL and Bellator put on the weekend, because that was no bueno.
Is Ryan Ford still not allowed out of the country?
Ryan Ford got smashed as a minus 400 favorite.
Ooh, there you go. Is this on a Fight Pass?
It was on Fight Pass, yes. I
might go back and check it out and hear our boy on the broadcast. We see him all the time up here on TSN anyway, which is kind of crazy. And that man knows his way around a bet or two.
Yeah, he's he let me in on some. I mean, obviously, the bets that he put out for TSN both cashed on the last UFC card. I think he played like Gaethje. Was that the one before? I know he played like Gaethje by decision at like plus, I don't know, 500 or something like that. And
He had a big sub one as well.
Yeah, and he had crazy round robin, and so that's good for him. At least somebody's making some money in MMA this year.
They don't call us the chosen people for nothing, you know.
That's true.
This weekend we got a pretty decent card. UFC 287 coming up. Thin Izzy, trying to take on thick Alex. It's a giant man to be fighting at 185 pounds. There's some decent stuff on the rest of the card. Some of it not great, but we'll get to that. I don't know if there's anything else we need to get to before that. We can
not really. It's kind of interesting. But so they've basically been alternating fight night cards and pay-per-views. There's been 3 pay-per-views in the last 6 events. It's that's like old school UFC.
Mm-hmm. And even one in between then was an ESPN card too.
Yeah.
It wasn't even just like Fight Pass or something like that. It's been a decent little run, you know. Not, but I'm sure we're about to get 12 UFC Vegas cards in a row or something like that.
Yeah, like it's, I don't know. It's the next one's gonna be in Kansas City. Then you got an Apex card. Then you get another Apex card, and then you got a pay-per-view. So I mean, it's hit and miss. I feel like it seems like they are trying to go out of the Apex a little bit more this year, which is kind of good for everyone. It forces them to put on a little bit better fights. So people actually
buy tickets.
Yeah, so people actually show up. So I think that's a good thing. Maybe they don't stack the pay-per-views as much and kind of even it out for the fight night cards, and maybe they won't be as dreadful. I know the dread is coming, so at some point, but what can you do?
Yeah, just scrolling through it. It's still so hard to keep track of with the way some of these fights or these odd sites have gone down the hill, but yeah, there's a little bit of stuff going on.
Yep.
All right. Not going to spend too much time on the early prelims on this card because there's not a lot to talk about. But we'll kick it off there anyway. Opening bout of the evening, women's strawweight division. Sam Page taking on Jacqueline Amorim. I don't know. Is that a person? Where's she from?
She's a person. She's Brazilian.
From Brazil.
She's got a bunch of finishes. She has 6 wins, all by finish.
Against like the scrubbiest of scrubs.
Yeah, like I mean, she beat a Canadian last time out, and that was 4-4.
Okay.
She beat a 3-2 lady before that, and another Canadian that was 1-1. So I don't know.
What you're saying is Lupita Godinez does not want to fight her?
No, because she would go down. But I don't know, man. It feels like you just blindly take the dogs, especially when you have debuting fighter, undefeated, obviously decent looking. I'm sure that's not hurting her betting line. I'm gonna pick the Sam Page in Toutmaster and try to grab some dog points. These low level women's MMA fights are usually close. I know this lady has 6 finishes. If she can just get Sam Hughes out of there, which most people have not done, props to her. If she can't, then it's probably going to be a close fight, and I'll take the dog points and Toutmaster. But you could not pay me to bet this fight.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on this. It seems like it should be. She should go if she's supposed to be good at grappling, the Brazilian, and her nickname is Jaque, and I don't know why she doesn't go with like Jacques Ray. Yeah, but doesn't deserve it.
No.
Maybe she does. I doubt it. Yeah, I would lean towards the same thing you just said. It's low level, debuting, big favorite against a fighter who sucks, but will at least scrap in there. I don't know. Hughes' decision is bordering on algorithm play. It's almost there, but we'll see. We shall see. It would need to go up a little bit more for me to get there. Next up, featherweight division. The Nuerdanbieke taking on old Steve Garcia. This should be kind of weird, at least.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if Nuerdanbieke's last fight wasn't weird enough, I don't think this one can get to that level. It's hard to know how good that guy is because what happened in his last fight. I mean, he was basically fighting a guy that wanted to lose. And then, the other guys that he's fought, they're kind of varying degrees of not great.
That's such a nice way of putting it. This is really as a Canadian podcast this week.
I'm being generous this week so far. Once we get to some fighters that actually probably make somewhat of a living, then I'll just trash them. But yeah, like he got taken down twice by Sean Soriano. That's not a great look. Steve Garcia is also not a great fighter, but he's kind of done what he's had to do in there. It probably ends up being a close fight. So I guess I don't hate people for taking the dog shot on Garcia, but I'm just staying away. This is fairly low level, and it's hard for me to know what the Nuerdanbieke is at this point.
I certainly don't like Steve Garcia as much as I did against Chase Hooper, but that was a dumb one. I love that, but I like him here. I think that both of these guys have fought kind of bottom of the barrel guys in and outside of the UFC, so it's hard to tell what they really have. But I think that Garcia can wrestle a little bit here. I think it's going to get tired and sloppy, and unless he just gets absolutely lit up early like he did against the Machete, I think this is just going to be a much closer fight than minus 200 for the Nuerdanbieke. So probably be on Steve Garcia here. Maybe look at what the decision prop is, but money line looks decent enough. Moving on up, catch weight, 160 pounds. KJ Noon's weight. Trey Ogden taking on Ignacio. I don't want to say the rest of his name. The Baja Man, right?
The Baja Man.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, like I don't think Trey Ogden is that good. Laying -3, upwards of -350 on Bahamondes is a bit terrifying. He does show that he has some skills. He seems like he can take an ass whooping if things aren't going his way, so he's going to kind of stay in there. He is hittable. I don't think this is the guy that's going to catch him. So he probably wins, but laying that juice is a bit scary on a still somewhat unknown guy.
Yeah, Ogden is if it loads, there we go. Man, he scares me because it's possible that he'll come out and just outlast somebody like Zellhuber, who was supposed to be this young prospect as well. And I don't know if he can do the same thing against the Baja men. As you said, he can take an ass whooping, but can he take much of a grappling? Because I think that's more the route that Ogden would be looking to go in this fight. So not a lot of guys have really tried to take him down well. I know he's defended a bunch of takedowns, but he hasn't fought anybody that's a decent wrestler. I'm not saying that Ogden's a great wrestler. I just think there could be a little bit of pressure there. So yeah, again, I think the last time when I was like, oh man, all these early dogs are way too big. I didn't bet any of them, and a bunch of them hit. So I think this time I might just have to go round robin or something on these early dogs, and that way I've got something on them without investing too much in a bunch of crappy fighters.
Yep.
Back to women's strawweight. Here's where we are officially holding the podcast hostage for consensus bets until Lance and Wes show back up to work. And it all starts right here. Cynthia Calvillo taking on Loopy. I'm half Canadian, but the Canadian's going to show up. Godinez. Sean, take it away.
Yes, this could be interesting. It seems like this fight is back at strawweight. Calvillo hasn't fought there in a little bit. I know she had some weight issues at some point, so it could be a bit concerning.
It's very insensitive to talk about a woman's weight issue, Sean.
That's true.
Come on.
That's very true. We're allowed to do that in MMA because, I mean, generally MMA fans, not the nicest people, and they literally have to make weight to fight. Yeah. Godinez, as we saw in her last fight, if she does not get you to the ground, she is not very good on the feet. I know numbers wise it said she outstruck Angela Hill, but that would be one of those ones where the volume doesn't really go with kind of what happened in that fight. I'm not saying Cynthia Calvillo is some elite striker on the feet, but there aren't like many people that have out-grappled Cynthia Calvillo. You got to go back to when she fought the former champion Carla Esparza, and since then she hasn't been taken down. So if Godinez can't take her down, this fight I think becomes close. It might be one of those ones where you should probably be putting money on the old split majority decision for whatever number it is. And I'm gonna bet Cynthia Calvillo because I think this becomes close. Calvillo might even be able to use her offensive grappling to get on top of Godinez and at least stuff Godinez's takedowns, and then it comes a fucking crapshoot on the feet. So I think we were talking earlier on you can get like plus 375 Calvillo by decision, plus 350s out there. I'll be putting some money on that.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's gonna be Cynthia Calvillo. We're taking the decision. We're not worrying about any of that get a finish stuff. She's not gonna do that. It's Cynthia Calvillo, after all. Cynthia Calvillo by decision, plus 375. Consensus bet of the week. Incredible stuff. I don't know if I want to say much else about this fight. I think it's either going to be a bad, slow-paced kickboxing fight that is close, or it is going to be a grappling match, which is also close. So I'll take the plus 400 decision, or the almost plus 400 decision dog in a women's MMA fight. Moving on up, we're flying. How it's probably going to be real. I'm going to have to check the line. I haven't even looked at it until this very moment. So you're going to get a live reaction of me looking at a heavyweight total, folks. Carl Williams taking on the vanilla gorilla himself, Chase Sherman. We'll have to see if he's got the back knee back for this one. But otherwise, Sean, banger. Absolute banger at heavyweight.
Absolute banger. I think you're going to be sad what you see when you expand the odds on this fight.
Not great.
Yeah, it's what is expected. I know Carl Williams is not that good. Doesn't really matter because he's in heavyweights. You don't have to be that good. What he's shown to me is a pretty damn good gas tank for a big ass dude. And when he was on the Contender Series, took guy down a bunch, was in there, and then his UFC fight, like he beat up Brzeski pretty damn good, and didn't slow down too bad considering how big he is, how much tossing around that dude he was, and how many strikes he was landing. Chase Sherman is terrible at grappling. Williams should get this guy down. There is some concern with if you're looking at playing that total because Sherman is that bad. He will get taken down early. Williams is not an amazing finisher, so it's going to be a clinch.
Know what a submission is.
He doesn't seem to know what a submission is, so that helps. But Sherman also likes to be punched in the face on the ground, so
That's true.
There could be a mercy stoppage here. Williams should win and win fairly easily, as the odds obviously show.
Yeah, I can't bring myself to bet a minus 500 heavyweight who has had one fight in the UFC, even against Chase Sherman. But man, it is Chase Sherman, and because of that gas tank that you were talking about, he's going to need the back knee back to get that little cardio boost for this one, because that was basically the last time he looked good in the UFC was the fight that he got suspended right after. So yeah, it's gonna be a no for me, dog. Just in general, can't even do some fatties in this one. I don't know. It's a sad day. Sad day. Anyway, we are continuing on up the cards. This one's I'm legitimately interested in. Middleweight division, Joe Pyfer. I think I say it every time he fights. I don't understand the fascination with this guy. But whatever, cool. Whatever people want to get behind, then that's all for them to decide. He's taking on MMA analysis, friend of the podcast, Meerschaert. Sean, Meerschart's made us so much money. Is it going to be more Meerschaert money? Triple M?
Anytime Meerschaert's like plus 300 or better inside the distance, you got to take a look because damn near every time he wins, it's by finish. The guys fought has been choked out before. It's like you said, I don't get the hype around Pyfer, if that's how you say his name. Killing Amidovsky is not impressive to me. You know, he did what he needed to do on the Contender Series, but this is a decent step up. Gerald Meerschaert just beat Bruno Silva in a fight. He beat just Dustin Stolfus, who beat Joe Pyfer. I know it was an injury, so there's obviously that, but
it was an injury because he lifted him up and dumped him on it.
Yes,
it was.
Yeah. This is like a pretty decent test against, and Gerald Meerschaert. If you don't get him out of there quick, he's gonna make you earn it. So I don't blame anybody. That plus 300 inside the distance for the Meerschaert is looking somewhat tasty. I'll pick him in Toutmaster. I think I'll probably be betting him inside.
Inside at 300, subs only plus 375. Need to see some more places open that up because that's as we saw in his last fight, the Meerschaert will knock a man out and submit him anyway.
True.
LR, I apologize. I wasn't ignoring you. I was actually on the private chat tab, which is just for us in the podcast, and it's only two of us, so we weren't saying anything in there. So I just thought there were no comments, but appreciate you chiming in the old chat. As far as this fight goes, man, it's like, why would I not take another shot on the Meerkat at plus money, big odds to win it or to finish inside the distance as he always does? We'll see if any bigger sublines pop, because I'd probably go with that around 500. But yeah, Meerkat inside plus 300. I'm all over that. You got to take that. It's about principles at that point. And if you don't take it, you're a bad human being. So there you go. Women's strawweight division again.
Whew.
Why, Sean? Why?
Everybody wants to fight.
Michelle Waterson, Luana Pinheiro. I either haven't watched enough of Pinheiro, or this feels like it might be a bit off as a line. And it's probably like maybe both of them, because I definitely don't go out of my way to watch Luana Pinheiro fights.
It's Waterson is washed. That's why this price is
Washerson.
She is. This is a step down for her. This is a step up for Pinheiro. So it is one of those ones where I don't blame people for picking the dog. My thing is just I think Waterson is absolutely washed at this point. So even if Pinheiro isn't that good, I think she'll be good enough. She'll be able to probably out-grapple Waterson and to a decision win.
I'll take your word for it. Ophelia, you sound like a lovely British lass. Unfortunately, I don't know how to read, so I can't read your comment out loud, which I'm sure has no hilarious hidden names within it. I know that stuff works on Bisping because he's only got the one eye, so he only sees half the words, but you can't catch this sharp mind up here. Yeah, sure. If you say Pinheiro, I will trust you here. I don't
What
really
you should
have
trust is the auto dog for women's fights. That's what you should trust.
Oh, is she the dog here?
Waterson is the dog, but
you're saying, yeah, I
you should trust
it.
yourself just auto dogging. What I'm telling you is Waterson is washed, and I'll probably pick Pinheiro and probably regret it.
Okay. All right. I can get behind that. Can also put that fight in the rear view mirror for the middleweight showdown between Chris Curtis and Kelvin Gastelum. Prelim headliner. It's, probably the type of fight that, it could be the type of fight that you want people to see right before a prelim or a pay-per-view starts. Wow. I know words. I'm good at speaking. But it's also Kelvin Gastelum in 2023, and that can sometimes just be weird and bad. But they should box it up a little bit here, right, Sean?
Yeah, I don't expect Gastelum to mimic Jack Hermanson against Chris Curtis and stick and move. I think these guys are going to throw down. I've been a big fan of the Gastelum and backed him a bunch in fights that he's ended up losing. I think I lost. What did I lose? I lost the Till fight, the Hermanson fight, the Whitaker fight. I don't know if I lost on the Cannonier fight. So I've been wasting away my money. I'm trying to get some of it back. I don't know. It's hard for me to know what Gastelum is at this point. He's a guy that should be fighting at 170 still. It just seems like wasted talent. Chris Curtis, as we've seen, he hits hard. He can pull some shit out. I don't know. That Buckley fight wasn't going the greatest until Curtis landed Gastelum's, for the most part, had a good chin throughout his career, but it
Mouth
seems
injury last time out.
Pardon me?
Mouth injury.
Oh, the
that
mouth
made
injury.
Yeah. Is the chin gone now? Is he even going to have a chin when he shows up to weigh-ins?
Well, he's still making 185, so I'm pretty sure that jaw is working. So, yeah, he's taken some damage in his career, and he's always been a guy that's relied on his chin. I think that could be tested in this fight. Chris Curtis does have big power. These are both kind of tweener 185, 170ers, so it's not like one guy is going to have a big weight advantage. I just like the guy that's been more consistent recently. I know Gastelum's fought the way better competition, but I for some reason I'm thinking that Curtis is going to be able to touch him. He might not finish him, but I think he drops him at least once and is able to win one of the other rounds. So at slight plus money, you can get plus 110 some places. I'm going to have a small bet on Chris Curtis.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way as well. Haven't locked anything in on Curtis as of yet, but when you go back through Gastelum at this point, and obviously he's been fighting top of the line middleweights for the most part, but the one fight that he's actually won over the past 5 years was against Ian Heinisch, where he obviously lower level middleweight to start off with, where he had to out wrestle him to win the fight. And I don't see him doing that against Chris Curtis. He might be able to land some big stuff on Curtis, but Curtis has always been durable throughout his career. And I think one of these guys is going to be able to keep up the pace for 15 minutes. And another guy, probably the other guy being Gastelum, is more talented and has more ways to win the fight. They're just not very good ways against Chris Curtis. So I will take Curtis. Probably going to end up betting him plus 115 out there, probably by decision, which gets it up to like plus 240. But yeah, I think Chris Curtis is set up pretty well in the spot to get a high profile win, even if that profile isn't quite what it used to be. Kicking off the pay-per-view bantamweight division, the old Rob Schneider, Vina Handyjoba, Love Child, Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Christian Rodriguez. I don't know that these guys, I know they're trying to do the Rosas push. Don't know that he deserves to be in a pay-per-view at this point, but whatever. It's their company. Apparently also WWE's company. They can do whatever they want.
Better tips about booking fights.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar's going to run in with a chair in this one. F5 both of them at the same time.
Damn.
Maybe we'll start to see some of that 2-on-1 stuff that they do in Russia in the UFC. Brock Lesnar against these two dudes. I'd watch that.
It's a deadly handicap match right there. Yeah, like I was low on Rosas Jr. kind of coming into his last fight. I don't think I wasted any money on Perrin or anything, but he is decent at what he is, and the guys that he's fighting are there to be taken. I think Christian Rodriguez is another guy there to be taken. He gets taken down by pretty much everybody he's fought. I think Rosas Jr. is going to be able to take him down and get a finish because that's what he's good at. So him inside is like plus 100, plus 110. Him by submission is closer to like plus 150, 60, 70 around there. I'll be deciding one of those, probably taking one of those, unless I really want to parlay him. Mine seems a bit short. I don't think much of Christian Rodriguez, but I know there are a lot of unknowns when it comes to Rosas Jr.
I kind of like Christian Rodriguez in this spot, and
really,
I don't know if it's just the JSP fight that's swaying my opinion, but he impressed me in that one. I know that eventually he just ended up getting controlled, but that's a whole lot different than Rosas Jr. in this spot. So I think on the feet, which if Rosas has its way, is probably not going to be there all that frequently. But we've seen pretty much everybody that Rodriguez fights has that same sort of game plan, and he's managing to get up to his feet against everybody except for JSP. So can't hold that against him too much. I think he'll be able to find his way back up to the feet in this one as well. Give Rosas some problems. And then, as we saw in his last fight, he also does have a sneaky little submission game as well. So you've got is he still 18? Is he 19? He's got to still be 18, right?
He is officially 18 years old until October.
Yeah. So you got this 18-year-old kid, probably a little rash. And it's not like Rodriguez isn't old is old and declining. He's still very young and getting better as well. So we'll see what happens here. But I'm certainly more intrigued by a bet on Christian Rodriguez than I would be laying that price on Rosas Jr. again. I think the kid is good, but it's more of a story because he's so young than him being so good. Moving on. When I get back there, I've got two windows open. I think I dragged a tab to a second window by accident. It's very annoying. Kevin Holland taking on the old Ponzi boat. Sean, is Ponzi washed? Or is he just old?
He's both, in my opinion. He was right done in that Moreno fight. He did pull a rabbit out of his hat. Congrats to him.
I don't think it was out of his hat.
It was out of his ass. I think all that's going to do is get him more brain damage, unfortunately, because if he would have lost that, he might have retired, or they would have gave him a little more of a cupcake fight. Instead, he gets thrown in there against Holland, who he took an ass beating himself last time out, but I think Holland has, at his age, is a little bit easier time recovering from that kind of a beating. I'm honestly surprised the line's where it is. Like, I get it, Holland kind of got tooled by Wonderboy, but Wonderboy is still very good in that type of fight. If you're not going to grapple him, he's a tough fight. Especially when he actually sits down on his punches and actually throws hard, which he decided to do in that fight. I think
Holland got a good deal of offense in that fight as well. It wasn't exactly one-sided.
Oh yeah, it was early on. That was a banger of a fight. Like that's like easily the best Wonderboy fight in a very, very long time
ever.
Because
don't even tell me about the Woodley fights. Those were
Woodley
dog
fights.
shit.
It's funny when fights like that, like people will say, it becomes a narrative, but neither of those were fight of the years, no matter what anybody says. Not even close. But yeah, I just think Pontoon Boat is going to have his hands full. Holland's just going to be throwing. He's going to be way faster. And Holland's shown an absolute iron chin. So I don't think that the Pontoon Boat is going to be able to pull something out last second and get Holland out of there. So Holland, and like he's minus 230, minus around there at some books. Like I think that's parlay worthy. Him inside the distance is not that great of a price. I was kind of eyeing that up, but yeah, it's only like plus 130. I think at that point you're better just to parlay him, and that is what I will do.
Yeah, honestly, based on Ponzi's previous two performances, the Pereira and the Neal fights, if this was lined this way, I'd consider a shot on him because it comes down to how washed you think he is. And after those two fights, I didn't think he was particularly washed. I didn't think he was the 2018 version of himself who would smoke Kevin Holland in a similar fashion to Wonder Boy. I think not similar style, but just like punch him in the face a whole lot. But man, after that Moreno fight, it's tough to have a whole lot of faith in him against a guy that you know is going to eat your shots and answer back with stuff. So go with Holland here. Yeah, it's about the end for old Ponzi. There do seem to be a lot of washed fighters on this card, LR. That is very, very true. I don't know that I'll be betting Holland. I probably should. But I'll certainly keep it in mind as we move towards the weekend. Next up, bantamweight division again. I like this. Rob Font, Adrian Yanez. Decent little scrap here.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. This is a pretty decent size step up for Yanez, and definitely a decent step down for Rob Font. I'm kind of just backing the fighter that is younger and on a better trajectory versus the guy that's taken some pretty brutal beatings the last two times. He's 35 years old. In the bantamweight division, that's not ideal. Yanez throws very hard. Like I said, Font's been dropped multiple times, 5 times in his last 2 fights. Now, obviously, Yanez is dropping these guys who are nowhere near the skill of Rob Font, so that is always something to take into consideration. But this, for the most part, should be a stand-up fight. I know Font has kind of mixed in some grappling recently. For the most part, Yanez has passed those tests. He's hasn't been fighting much for grapplers, so I don't know how much that takedown defense percentage really matters at this point. But from what I've seen, he's got a decent get-up game, or he's got a good kind of underhook game to stop guys from getting in on him. And at distance, I think he's just a more powerful, sharper striker. I'm probably going to parlay him. It is, like I said, a bit scary when you see these guys that are taking a pretty sizable step up against a guy that's taking a step down. But I just really haven't liked what I've seen from Rob Font in his last 2 fights.
I think that's fair. I think that that's also a bit. Oh, did I lose you? A bit unfair to Rob Font, considering the quality of the guys that he's fought. He ended up getting dropped at some time at some points in the Vera fight, several points, and then he lost a striking match to maybe the best technical striker that we've ever seen in MMA. And yeah, he was at an advanced age, but I mean, there's not a lot of shame in that. That's not Adrian Yanez beating up Tony Kelly. I just think that this is way too big of a step up for Yanez against a guy who is still extremely capable in Font, and has lost because he's fought really good guys who can land those big moments. And I'm just not sure that once he gets up to this level that Yanez is going to be able to have those big moments like Aldo or like Marlon Vera were able to have against Font. I think we're going to see typical Rob Font, a whole lot of jabs shutting down the hands that Yanez wants to throw, and leg kicks and moving, and he's just going to sort of rack up volume on Yanez. So I like Font here, like him to take a decision, and I think that's a pretty generous line, considering the guys he's fought in and the guys he's beat in the past. So I'll be on Font in this spot.
Plus 285 Font by decision at some books that are available to you. That's a pretty nice number if you're looking to go that way.
Yeah, that's where we've got the Calvillo decision as well. So a little something maybe starting to brew there once I look at the props a little bit closer. Co-main event, 170, Gilbert Burns taking on George Morelife. And you know what doesn't have more life? His MMA career. Boom. What a fraud. Tell me about how much of a fraud Masvidal is and how still that makes him dangerous in this fight.
I'm right there with you. Like I am not going to be playing Gilbert Burns. I would definitely stay away from parlaying him straight. I don't know if you can find a weird angle on Burns. Maybe that's a good idea, but I don't know. This seems just like a stay away from me. Masvidal, for the most part, has shown pretty damn good takedown defense and a pretty good get-up game. And if he's able to implement that against Burns, and this is going to be on the feet, this fight becomes a lot closer than minus 500. Burns has shown pretty smart grappling recently, and Masvidal is getting older and older and losing more and more as we expected him to all along. It's just one of those fights where I'm going to just watch. I hope Gilbert Burns just absolutely dummies him. But it is a bit concerning that if this ends up being a prolonged striking fight, Burns can be clipped. That chin is questionable at times. And Masvidal has decent hands. So I'm staying away. The pick is Burns. I hope he gets a sub, but I don't want to lay any kind of juice, like that big a juice in this kind of matchup.
Yeah, that's eventually the conclusion that I came to, is that if I'm holding a Burns minus 500 ticket and this fight gets into like the 9th minute, how good am I going to be feeling about that bet? And it's not very. So if I do play Burns, I'll be looking at the early stuff. I think round one's like plus 250, sub is out there, plus 250-ish.
Yeah.
So I think if you've got Burns round one sub at plus 500, which is available at a couple places, that's probably the best way to be betting him, because if it doesn't happen that quickly, maybe he can knock Masvidal out. I don't think that's the game plan that he'll pursue. That makes the most sense for him in this spot. So yeah, I might just have some props on Burns, but that money line is a little bit too steep for my liking. Sean, we're going to get this whole thing done in under an hour. Record. We just set a land speed record for podcasts. All we've got left is the main event, the quadrilogy through the duopoly of combat sports that is Alex Pereira, 3-0, taking on Thin Izzy Adesanya, 0-3. How does part 4 go? Is it a new hope for Izzy?
I honestly have no idea. I bet under 4.5 last time.
Nailed it.
Got a bit unlucky because Adesanya was very close to finishing in the first. And then it looked like it was just never going to happen. And then I kind of pulled something out of my ass and was able to squeak out a under 4.5. I'm going back to the well. I'm playing it smaller. I played for like 3 units last time. I'll probably play it for 2 units this time. I think both these guys standing are extremely dangerous. As we've seen, Pereira only takes one for the most part to rock you and be able to put you away. If Izzy decides to grapple, I just don't think that's a great idea. I don't think standing in front of Pereira is a good idea, so I don't know if there's any good idea in this fight for him, really. But like grappling, even if he gets Pereira down, do I think that Adesanya has the skills to finish him on the ground? Probably not. And if he's not finishing him on the ground, and he is grappling, he will get more tired than if he's just standing, bouncing around, throwing his weird shit on the feet. So he's going to get tired. Pereira's obviously going to get tired from being on the bottom. But then when they're on the feet, they're both going to be tired and they're both going to be throwing. And Pereira's absolutely terrifying. Even if he is gas out of his mind, he hits that chin once and Adesanya might be done. I still think there's a good chance that Adesanya catches him like he did in the first one and is able to put him away. So I'm rolling with under 4.5. I'll probably pick Pereira to score the upset one more time. There's just some guys that for some reason have your number. Adesanya fought that fight almost as good as he could have for the most part and still got knocked the fuck out. It happened like that in their last kickboxing match. I don't know. Maybe it's just he has his number. That power is terrifying, and against a guy that isn't a grappler, you have to stand with that guy. And with 4-ounce gloves, that's terrifying. So, it's gonna be interesting, regardless of what happens, because if Pereira does knock him out, I would probably bet a lot of money on him losing his next title defense if he's fighting Whitaker or really anybody with any decent grappling.
He could fight bare knuckle fighting star Luke Rockhold, and I would probably bet against him in his next fight.
Yeah, sad as that is. But yeah, I'll pick Pereira. I think it's going to be a fun fight, and I hope the under 4.5 comes cashing again.
I will also be picking Pereira. Pereira. I don't know. He's got one of the weird ones for Brazilian people that I guess don't want to be Brazilian anymore. He's like a regular old Roger Gracie. Who's like, no, it's not Hodger. Roger, please. Yeah, he's. I think some people are remembering their first MMA fight by saying, "Oh yeah, Izzy was the way better kickboxer," but I thought that was pretty damn close on the feet, except for the round after they grappled.
And I would say, wow. I mean, I guess Izzy had.
It was because he landed it right at the end of the round.
He had the moment. That was a close round until that moment, and then after that, it was close, right?
Yeah. So I don't think that if this stays on the feet and is just a kickboxing match like most of the first fight was, it's going to be competitive. I mean, they've showed that across 2 kickboxing matches and 1 MMA fight. They have styles that kind of play well together for both of them to have success. It's just who has the bigger success, and so far it's been the guy who has way bigger power out of the 2 in all 3 of those fights. I kind of disagree with you about Izzy grappling. I just think that if he starts grappling, he has to keep grappling. Because
at that point, he's got to just be like, I'm wrestling you for like 5 rounds.
Yeah. Because as soon as he stops, he's going to be gassed. But as long as he's grappling, I feel like he is going to be getting less tired than Pereira. Because that dude looked pretty much lost in the grappling in the first fight.
Yep.
I know he trains with Glover. He's probably not going to get subbed, but I don't know how much you can learn positionally in such a short period of time So he's gonna give up positions, and he's going to lose if this is a grappling match. I just don't know if Izzy actually has that in him. I'm probably not going to be playing Izzy sub at like plus 1600 because I don't think that he is going to have a concerted grappling game plan. And I think I might actually be going against you a little bit with the under, and I might be playing Pereira by decision at plus 500. I think that there is a good chance that he wins rounds by being just a little bit more aggressive than he was last time. Izzy's not really used to fighting guys who have the ability to corral him with like hooks and kicks and stuff like that to keep him in front of them. And that really kind of lets Pereira get off some of those bigger shots. So if he can start to do that a little bit earlier in this fight, I think that he can not only win the fight, but win rounds, and he doesn't necessarily need the knockout. So might look at Pereira by decision, but more than likely it's going to be just a small play on Pereira money line. I say small, but it's probably going to be the same size as all my other plays. I don't know. I'm just not confident in it, is what I'm trying to say.
That's fair.
We've been asked for lacrosse betting talk, Sean. It was not me. I didn't do this to the people. Tremendous. We the beloved Toronto Rock are in first place in the Eastern Conference right now. They had Bobble Fist night because this is the fighter on the team.
Nice.
So you got
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And we've got now I'm gonna go off on a tangent.
There we go.
Because fucking cool bet. All right. I get it. You know, you got to stay alive. You can't close as a business or whatever. But in Canada, they made a bunch of their market by like niche sports. Lacrosse was a big one for them. They sponsored a bunch of curling teams. Like they sponsored golfers and all this stuff. And essentially what they did is stuck around for a year to develop these like ties to these sports and then bail just from Ontario, where all of the people that they sponsor actually live or play. And all of my bets at CoolBet, all of everyone's bets in Ontario, not just mine, got canceled. And it's just
they got you twice. They got you twice. They got you to fucking last year when it got legalized, and then they got you again by them just fucking dipping out of Ontario. It's they just didn't want to pay the taxes, man. That's what it comes down to, because everywhere else in Canada they're still running because they don't have to pay the tax man in the rest of Canada and a bunch of other countries in the world. It is quite greasy what they did. Like
the worst part was the March Madness.
Yes, that was
futures.
Fucking brutal. Just free rolling themselves with March Madness was garbage.
So for those who aren't aware, what happened is they actually pulled out of the market yesterday, which was like the 1 year anniversary of the regulated market here in Ontario. But they canceled all bets as of, I want to say, March 22nd. So they took bets before the NCAA tournament, knowing they were pulling out of the market.
Yep.
Took futures. Knew that they wouldn't be paying any of the winners and just voiding them, and graded any of the losers as losses and kept the money. All-time scumbag sportsbook move, brought to you by the beautifully regulated market of Ontario.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit. Like, you would think that, with regulation, there could be more done to protect you guys. And I'm sure there was tons of people that were emailing and calling the regulator, and they don't give a fuck. So that's like, this was a test for the regulators, and they failed spectacularly. They should have had to refund everybody's futures bets, whether they were lost or not, and they didn't. And so that just shows you that even in the regulated market, these books were still fuck you. So be prepared for that. It just sucks because when it is regulated, you think that there is a bit of safety net there, and no.
Not in the slightest. And the worst part is they were actually one of the better books when it came to moving into regulation. Like they tried to be as fair as they could with the bets that they left open or like transferred over to your new account, and then leaving the market just pull this and lose any goodwill they have as a brand. Anyway, that's all to say that lacrosse betting would have been going extremely well. The old player props are going to go like 9-1, maybe 8-1-1 if one guy never suits up. But the NCAA, we've been crushing it. It's been going well. LR, what are the books that you have available that you can't get down at? I'm not sure where you're located. And
well, there's like, even myself, like I don't have any books that really have the college lacrosse.
Yeah, that's true.
Which kind of sucks. And then
sometimes Bet Online has them, but
every once in a while.
Yeah.
He's in Tijuana, so he's got all the offshores.
Gotcha. Yeah, you'll be able to see some of the stuff on Bet Online, but it's not too consistent. They've got futures up. We've invested in a couple futures that have tremendous CLV thus far. Sean, we also got a question about the top 3 MMA cappers. They certainly aren't sitting in front of you right now. Actually, I would probably put you in that list. So
not this year.
I know, but it's not about this year. So go. I'm putting you on the spot.
Man, I'm the wrong guy to ask because I'm an asshole and I don't follow people on Twitter. I just keep my my small little echo chamber and don't really, anytime people send me tweets and I'm just like, I don't follow that guy, he's a moron, and thankful that I don't follow that guy. I honestly, I couldn't tell you the top 3 MMA cappers. I know a bunch that aren't, and that a bunch of them sell picks, but yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for you.
There's a couple people that if I see that they're on something that, and I'm on the other side, I'll question it a little bit. Like you in several instances, I'm always like, oh shit, man, why does he have to be on the other side of this? I don't know how much of it is like a capper, because really he's about actually analyzing fights and knowing what the fuck he's talking about. But Tom is tremendous. I'll listen to him actually analyze fights. What else we got? Paul and Cody, friends from the Dogger Pass. They have 2 extremely different betting styles. Paul's is much more in line with the way I bet, so I kind of relate to that a bit more, but they're both very good at the ways that they bet. So yeah, those are a couple that I'd give you. I think we've been rambling enough. We ended up going over the hour, but not because of the breakdown. So you can't hold it against us. You can just, if you didn't want to listen to this shit, you probably shut the podcast off like 10 minutes ago. And so we're going to get out of here. We are going to return next week. I'm saying next week. I don't know if it's next week, so I'm looking it up right now. It is next week
5th,
on ESPN. Max Holloway, Arnold Allen, banger. Lance is not taller than 5'3". Neither am I.